Yep, we're back for part two of reviewing the interviews in Washington, D.C. during the Supreme Court case. As said, we have our guide Cassie here to tell the tale. And yes, I'm going to be giving my commentary through and through. But I kind of backed up a little bit because I didn't want to feel like I was god awful rushed to this particular person that was a professor. So we're going to continue from there just to have like a good mark because I want to listen to her a little bit deeper.
So today there is a case in the U.S. Supreme Court. Can you tell us why you're out here today? Because I'm a professor of sociology and education, and I learned the hard way that we had to be sex realists. We taught for decades that sex isn't real. Older trans-identified people are horrified by what's happened to the youth movement. That sex.
And as stated, I think I'm still staying on my square. It said if sex wasn't real, do you think anybody would really be out there? I mean, weirdly enough, most people would have thought right now it'd be looking like the original Terminator, as in 1984.
Isn't real, that trans should be everywhere. As a 73-year-old trans-identified woman, and I'm happy to call him a her because she's paid the price. She said, it took me 30 years of therapy and 20 years of medicalization. How did these youth just decide they're trans?
How do they decide? Well, I think decide is a wrong word. I think are influenced would be a better term to use because I think it's more of an influence than to boldly say yes, yes, yes. You kind of, what is it? It's like succumbing to something sweet. As soon as you smell it, the sweetness, you just slowly ease yourself to it, and then you come to the acceptance because it tastes great. Yet, as we all know, and this is why everything is so messed up, nobody really read the fine print. Let's continue.
Person who gets kicked out of the trans rights groups because waving the flag, this is wrong. This should be. It also says we're supposed to be rare. Trans people are supposed to be rare. Was it UK that had a 4,000% increase from 2011 to 2021? That's not normal. It's not good. And that's
Ma'am, how you gonna be a professor and go for something that was, we say, okay, so you put up a stat that was within a 10-year time frame, but we're not going with anything that's probably a little more modern to see how things have changed. Man, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that.
Lord, gee, well, you know what? I'm tired of your presence. Dismissed.
professors and universities are partially responsible because we taught that sex isn't real, that sex doesn't matter.
Sex isn't real, sex doesn't matter, and y'all try to put accountability onto that. But you figure, you go to like California schools, y'all willing to no California schools are willing to secure the gender identity of the student from the parents. Do you think that's a good idea? Oh yeah, under the helm of, Governor Gavin Newsom. But if we want to put that political note out there, I'm calling this a fair warning. If Gavin Newsom runs for president, you Democrats will lose. You will have a Republican raid. But let's continue.
Colleagues in women and gender studies say you were lied to by your high school biology teacher, and it's not help. It's not help. Boys, girls, any kind of gender nonconforming people, the erasure of sex.
The erasure of sex. Yeah, I'm still standing on what I'm saying, ma'am. Can we get your credentials checked? The erasure of sex. If that were the term, do you realize? Let's see. Oh yeah, Earth would look like Venus or Mars. There would be no form of life without sex.
Ask the overage question that the right loves to ask. What is a woman? And XX chromosome, biologically born. I do understand for years, decades, I taught intersex shows that sex isn't just two binary.
Get out! Get out! See, you're trying to veer off. You could have just kept it right there. XX. You could have said me, as in pointing to her.
Gary, that intersex proves that there's many more.
See, when you put in intersex, that's my issue. See, anybody from the Colorful Coalition or you TRAs, y'all try to squeeze intersex in. This is intersex. Intersex is a natural occurrence. It is not something that was chosen, for lack of a better word. As in, I was born with male and female reproductive equipment. As in, born from my mother. And I'm using that as theoretic just to make things very clear of my concept of intersex. But let's continue.
Histories of gender. It's just not true. Intersex conditions are very rare, 40 of them.
And yet you put it in, you're putting intersex in, ma'am. This is why some of us don't take some of y'all TRAs seriously.
And they're nothing. Is that nothing to do with trans-identified gender? That is the idea that sex was biological.
Ma'am, now you tossing word salad. You all over the place. Why didn't you just stop at XX? Why? If this is like your 15 minutes of fame, you're gonna look like Bethany Mandel in just a little bit.
Biological and gender was social. That's collapsed, and they actually flipped. Now sex is not real, and gender is real.
What did you say? Sex is not real, but gender is. Ma'am, I know you have to be from Generation X, as in the 70s. You know the old job applications. Oh, they rotated between sex and gender. Yeah, miss me with that.
How crazy is that? So a lot of trans people like to make the claim that because they identify as women, they could be women's sports. What do you think it's going to take for trans people to realize that bodies play sports and not identities? Very good. And I think we have a lot of work to do in schools. I'm on a curriculum committee and people working in California to redo sex education. It teaches that, again, gender is real and who knows what sex you are. There's even a curriculum piece that says,
I would think, before I went to kindergarten, I would know that I am a boy, male, man, masculine. I would be on the masculine side of the line. Just just a thought.
oh, killing me with this. Because nobody really knows what sex there is. That's why we should just
Quit playing. I didn't do this stuff.
Yeah, you didn't write the curriculum, but you gonna tell me like you gonna keep going back to saying sex ain't real. I'm sorry. It said your credentials. No. No, you gotta go. No, revoked. Dismissed.
go with gender on forms instead of male, female. And so we have a lot of work to do because education really took with this and ran with it.
Just the very same thing that you're doing.
Now you see now, you done fucked up. And I did teacher training programs and as a sociologist and education professor, and we messed up big time. We think we were helping a poor, beleaguered population that was trans. Instead, we were ruining Title IX that really is about sex, not about gender.
Say another motherfucking word and this shit is over.
Title IX, yeah, okay, because I said it's people like Leah Thomas is why y'all got why Title IX is all mucked up, ma'am.
What does it take to get trans identified people that I've realized for a few years we need more trans people to see the error like the 73-year-old person I talked to. He knew with the youth. So is there an effort for trans people to teach trans identified youth that there's options if you're gender nonconforming, that you don't.
Ma'am, you're doing that right now. If you're trying to have people like quote unquote spread a message right now where you are, even though the message that you are conveying to me is is totally mucked up off, you're doing it. Assemble and educate.
Actually, truly change sex. I feel like somehow we need trans people, trans-identified people on our side.
This is why I can never be a TRA, and I will never be a TRA because it's the crabs in the barrel mentality, and what is it? Incoherent speaking is what totally derails me.
So, what I think it's going to take is for trans people to realize that there is a biological reality, and they need to start getting back into that reality and stop doing it. It's all about me. It's all about how I feel. So, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you. The first question is, why are you out here today?
I'm out here protecting women and girls on the basis of sex. I'm standing up for fairness on the field and privacy in the locker rooms.
Good answer. Survey says, bing. As you may have heard, the stampede of two of my cats coming in while being slightly obnoxious. We'll make that three.
That's a very good thing. I know that Leah Thomas mostly started this whole fiasco with Riley Gaines. And, I fully support Riley Gaines in this one, and I do think that women should have privacy in locker rooms, especially when they're derobing. So I'm going to ask you the same question I asked before. You were actually there?
Yeah, I was at the NCAA's where Leah Thomas competed. I was protesting him being there. And one of the things that I really care about, because no one talks about this, but Isaac Hennig was also there at the NCAA's as a trans man, also competing against Riley Gaines, also competing against Leah Thomas. But no one talks about the fact that she was there competing as a trans man. There were two trans, quote-unquote, people competing at the NCAA.
Ma'am, you had me almost all the way, but when you say trans man, that trans man's going to equate to natural female. So that's where you kind of lost. That would be matching with Riley Gaines more so than clearly Leah Thomas.
Leah was not the only one. He was just the only one who got any publicity because of his identity. No one cared about Isaac Hennig's identity, and no one
because Isaac is a natural woman. You see how this works? Y'all really see how this works now? I'm just trying to make sure.
Covered her in the press.
I actually was not aware of that whatsoever. So, wow. So I'm going to ask an older question. What is a woman?
Okay, so a woman is an adult human female, and I would clarify that to say, sex in mammals is mutually antagonistic. So you can either be on a development path, developing on the female lines, or a male development path. Woman is specifically to say that female human has become an adult, has matured into maturity. So to me, being a female human is a lifelong development. It starts at conception and it ends in death. And there's so many things that happen along that path. It's not any one fixed characteristic. It's a formation of development over time.
I don't get it. I mean, I appreciate the fact that you can answer the direct question, but it's like it gets to it kind of becomes white noise when you get to the extra parts. It's like saying, what is a woman? An adult human female. Me, my mother, my wife, my sister. I shouldn't. I don't need a 30-minute dissertation to know what a woman is. Also, what is a woman? Clearly not me. This charming voice that you are listening to behind this reaction of part 2. Oh, also, please do like, subscribe, and share. And also, do check out Cassie's channel, Cassie Speaks Up.
So I know one of the biggest arguments from trans people is that hormones erode enough of their biological advantage to compete in women's sports. What's your comment on that one?
So the thing I would say to that is that men who are suppressing their God-given talent does not make the playing field fair for women who are doing everything they can to hone and heighten their natural talent. It just makes a mockery of all of the effort that women put in for men to basically compete with one hand tied behind their back.
I can't exactly say that she's wrong.
Hey, this is Amy Souza, aka Known Heretic. Like and subscribe to Cassie Speaks Up. to hear more of the news.
When trans youth are under attack, what do we do? And I'm going to turn it over to my.
Y'all already know my stance. I'm not even gonna go there. You got it.
My counterpart, my youth, who I'm so proud of, our youth coordinator at Destination Tomorrow, Vince Turnier. Louder than that. Give it up for our youth. Are y'all willing to answer some questions for our YouTube video? Sorry?
Who are you with?
I have a brand new channel called Cassie Speaks Up, and I've been going to both sides and asking people the same questions. So right now we have a case here at the Supreme Court. Can you explain why you're here today?
Yeah, so I'm here with Kesha. We are the largest LGBTQ Jewish organization in the U.S., and we're here because our Jewish values teach us that all people are created in God's image.
Well, let's see. In God's image, male and female. Noah's Ark. He took two of each, one male and one female. So that way we can have these things called preservation of species. Even though we also have a thing that tends to give me some jollies called the Darwin Awards as well. This one kind of had me like, I hope she really wasn't serious. But let's continue.
And so for us, that means every person deserves to be treated with respect and dignity and have the right to be fully themselves.
Right? Mm-hmm. Objection, relevance.
How are we taking away those rights for you not to be yourself? Is that to say TG, a transgender, like Leah Thomas, should be able to be inclusive into women's sports or locker rooms? I mean, 10 tacos and a sausage don't mix.
So the case today is specifically about sports. So do you think trans people deserve to be in sports? Like trans women deserve to be in women's sports?
Yeah, I think everybody deserves the right to play in sports.
Don't do that. You're trying to shout. You're trying to sway away from the question.
Especially kids, they deserve the right to play with their friends, to play on teams.
Ma'am, you know what she means. Don't do that. Don't do that.
To have the same opportunity that sports provides children for development, the leadership skills, the teamwork skills. Everyone deserves that right.
You trying to duck that whole question.
So when it comes to sports, there are differences and advantages. So I can understand it's very important for kids to participate in sports, but when it comes to like scholarships, awards, and like world records, do you think there should be a distinction about like what is acceptable, or should it be just like if you identify as a woman, you should be included?
So sports are about physical advantages. That is what sports are. People.
Purely physical advantages. See, where Cassie, I'd have probably got more in her because I wouldn't have had the patience. Like, ma'am, you already tried to duck one question. Now you're trying to duck and say people have advantages. Yeah, people have advantages. You're a female. You're a female. We'll use that. Let's actually talk about advantages. For example, old school, and said in the elementary school, you had the physical fitness test that everybody had. There was one thing you had. It was called the V-sit and reach that measured flexibility. Most men aren't exactly Simone Biles. You ladies can stretch a whole hell of a lot more. Biologically, women are considerably more flexible than men. That's a natural advantage, as men are basically the barbell eating meatheads that are typically stronger.
With physical advantages in sports are going to win sports. So
That is so surface level, ma'am. That is so surface level. You know there's this thing behind the scenes called behind the scenes of sports as well, like how the franchises are ran.
that is just across the board how sports work. And so to
You know what? Do I really need to say it? Do I really, really, really need to say it? What basically she is exerting is that one word that everybody likes to wrestle with, but she's trying to do it by evading the question or trying to, what is it, not take the question head on. She's trying to show privilege.
to make rules and standards about specifically about gender, which is not a really definitional. You cannot legislate gender. You cannot.
Ma'am, you've been smoking my shit. You really must be smoking my shit. What do you think you have? Men's room? Women's room? You think legislation doesn't have a role in gender? Oh, ma'am. Oh, let me also inform. Oh, selective services. I don't see a lot of women applying for the draft.
Decide that certain markers decide gender because the human experience.
Certain markers decide gender. Ma'am, you all over the place.
Creates so many varieties that when you try to decide if a person with short hair is a boy, then everyone with short hair.
Miss me with that, okay? Jada Pinkett Smith, the queen of Slapgate. She was damn near bald, or yeah, she was virtually bald. And yes, I know she has alopecia, but the fact of the matter is, ma'am, you just got debunked. You lose.
Is going to be discriminated against and put in danger. So, yeah, there are physical advantages in sports, but that's what sports are all about.
I really wonder, did you play any sports?
And in these cases, it's really about student athletes and kids that just want to play on sports teams with their friends. So
Nobody really had a problem with, nobody really has a problem with things like intramurals and co-ed sports, like you're driving, say, downtown and you see, like, the work teams that are co-ed. Nobody's really saying that. I think this leans more towards things like scholarships, tangibles that are exclusive. As said, going back to Riley Gaines and Leah Thomas, I hate having to bring that up and beat that dead horse, but it's also going back to what I am saying. In intramurals, yeah, you really don't have tangibles. But this is for like I'm talking scholarships.
So that's really the focus of what we're here for. And we really just believe that everyone should have the right to be able to play with their friends.
Nobody's